Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing good. Welcome back to another Amazon seller journey session with myself, Matt. And today I am joined by Mr. Sneaker. His name's Alex. He is like a retail arbitrage wizard. And I mean, his content is just chef's kiss. He's got a mixture of all sorts on his channel, and he makes me laugh. So, Alex, thank you for joining me today. How are
No
you doing?
worries. Yeah, I'm all good, man. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. So, let's get the ball rolling. Alex, tell us some of the basics about yourself. Paint us a picture of who Alex is.
So I'm 22 years old. I started making content and doing this kind of side hustle stuff only like just under 2 years ago.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of people know me from sneaker reselling, which is another thing I do alongside the Amazon FBA. And then a few months, probably about 6, 7 months after I started the sneaker reselling, I started dabbling in Amazon FBA as well. Um, and then from there, started up my TikTok, started filming the videos. Um, the retail arbitrage one seems to be good, seem to do quite well just because I think people it's the kind of the idea that anyone can do it, right? Anyone can walk into your local shop
Yeah,
and buy this stuff. It's not like some wholesale geezers just spent 20 grand on stock that you can't no one can find a supply or whatever. It's more accessible for people, so I think people relate to it more.
yeah.
I'm just now finishing my final year of uni in like a month's time.
Hmm.
So I'll be doing this, the Amazon FBA, the content creation, and shoes full time after that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, man.
What is it that you're doing at uni?
Business management, but
Business
it's
management. Okay, so that's really going
yeah,
to complement everything else that you're doing, isn't it?
it would if I went to the lectures, yeah. But I mean, if you ask anyone, anyone that does a business management degree, it's not a serious degree. Should we say
Hmm.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I do what needs to be done for my
yeah.
degree. That's about it.
So with that, then, if you say like it's not like such a serious thing, do you find it easy to juggle uni and Amazon, or do you have points whereby it clashes a bit and you're like, oh, what do I do?
I think in my second, I'm now in obviously now my second year, I would sort of try and juggle it more, maybe take uni a bit more seriously. But when all of this kind of, I call it side hustles, but it's kind of like an actual main hustle now. When all of this started taking off and doing a bit well, I've kind of started to focus on that more than I did the uni. Um, so when it comes to uni, all I really do is my exams. When they're due, still doing all right. So sweet as really. But I think if I was a serious student and doing a different course, like I live with a couple girls, they do one does law, one does engineering, and they're smashing out like 12-hour library sessions and what have you, especially during exam season. I think if I was doing a serious degree like that, it would be more difficult. But like I said, a business management degree, yeah, especially when all of your exams are online,
Yeah.
you can get by without doing as much.
Yeah. And so how exactly did you get started with like Amazon? Like how did you discover it? How did you get the ball rolling with getting into it?
Um, so obviously I did so when I first started out doing the side hustle stuff, like I said, it was a sneaker reselling, and that was through my housemate. He's been doing it for years, and he put me on, I guess you could say. And obviously from that I started doing the content creation.
Mhm.
Um, and a few months into that, I was approached by a lead group who said, "Oh, do you want to make some kind of content for us?"
Mhm.
Because I just started out. I don't think I'd started Amazon FBA at that point, but it's like, "Oh, do you want to make some content with us, like as a beginner?" So I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, sure." Started making content for them, making content for my own page, got more into it, and just scaled up from there. Really.
Hmm. And obviously, retail arbitrage is what I've seen you do the most on your TikTok. Do you dabble in any other methods as well as retail arbitrage, your bread and butter?
I don't really do anything else to be honest with you because for me, um, it's like with the retail arbitrage, you kill two birds in one stone, right? I can get videos for my page, um, and I can get the products. And I think with retail arbitrage as well, um, it's a bit different to online arbitrage because more often than not, the stuff you're buying with retail arbitrage tends to be better returns, less competition, and that kind of thing. than a lot of the online arbitrage leads you'll find.
Hmm.
It's just maybe a bit less consistent,
Yeah.
but I think the consistency, the lack of consistency, but the better rewards kind of even out, really, in my
Hmm.
opinion. Plus, online arbitrage isn't as fun as retail arbitrage.
Yeah. I mean, like it must feel really good to basically like go right today. I'm gonna, scout around source products. Uh, and I mean, with that, you never know what to expect because one of the things that I really like about retail arbitrage is like the human element of it. Like one day in a store, a manager can decide, look, we need to get rid of X, Y, and Z. So you know what, just mark it down. It's not necessarily something that they're gonna shout about online. So you'd miss out on that unless you're doing retail arbitrage. So like, yeah, I completely agree with you there. Like hunting around for stuff and then finding things that you know, didn't set out specifically to get. You just find these things, and imagine you've got quite a good eye for spotting things that would do well.
Yeah, I think the more you do it, the easier it is to kind of be able to like it's more about time efficiency, right? Because anyone can go into a shop and scan every single product in there. But if you did that, you'd do like two shops and then you'd leave and get bored. I think the more you do it, the easier it is to just spot stuff and be efficient with it. Like, oh, I'll go into this shop, let's look at this. Is there anything? No, okay, next one, etc.
Mhm. And so, um, for anyone that was looking to get into retail arbitrage, do you have any sort of like tips that you would impart on them?
I think the main tip I tell people is that when you're out doing a retail arbitrage trip, if you find let's say Tesco, right? If you go to a couple Tesco's and you don't find anything, but if you go to like a B&M or something and you're finding good products in there, just focus on that one store
Yeah.
rather than going to all of the different stores. Say you've got 5 different stores in your area, but you could travel a bit further maybe and go to a few different B&Ms. If you're finding good stuff in one store, just focus on that one store for that trip. Um, and then yeah,
So when you enter like I don't know, like a new store for the first time, like some of the stores, like some of the Tesco, some of the B&Ms, for example, out there, like they are massive, like a million aisles. Like as someone that is new to retail arbitrage, like how would you advise them to like navigate the store to be the most time efficient? Like, are there any aisles that you'd say, yeah, you know what, don't bother going down those ones, or particular aisles that you say, yeah, go for those ones, just to help them get around the store a bit quicker? Is there anything that you do like that where you know sort of like more or less where you want to go?
I think it really differs store to store. To be honest, it's just something you'll gain with experience. Stores like B&M, for example, you know it's going to be the same stuff in every single store.
Yeah.
So if you're new, I probably would advise taking the time and sort of going down all of the aisles. Ignore any aisles like food. Don't bother with any of that. Any of the like bespoke B&M products and what have you. Just B&M for an example, but stores off the top of my head like B&M, Home Bargains. In every shop, it's the same stuff, right? No matter where you go in the UK, all the same stuff. So
Mhm.
maybe when you're just starting out, I probably would advise taking your time and going through everything.
Mhm.
But if you're talking more like supermarkets kind of thing, to be honest, I just go in there and I look for anything that's significantly discounted. So anything that's mainly clearance, or just on sale. There's not like any huge secret to it. It is quite literally that simple. If you find a good product, go to the next Tesco, have a look for it. Hopefully you find it.
Mhm. And through like are there certain stores that you like visit consistently like over and over? Or do you vary it up a bit?
Um, I think B&Ms tend to like the stores that I mentioned always have the same stuff like B&M and Home Bargains. There's a few decent products which are more like replens. So I can always go in there and I know, oh, they're gonna have this. This is decent.
Mm.
But stuff like that, obviously, it's more saturated, so the returns don't tend to be as good.
Hmm.
Um, but as far as other stores like supermarkets, etc., go, I don't. Like I said, it just depends on um, the time. Really, it can be random. Sometimes one shop will have a good promotion on, um, and one store will have absolutely nothing in there, so I'll just avoid it for a bit.
Hmm.
Yeah, it just depends what's doing well for me at the time.
Yeah. And I mean, retail arbitrage, there's a ton of perks to doing it, but then there's also sort of like a ton of things to, bear in mind when you're doing it, as in, you're out and about doing your scanning and stuff, like you can get funny looks, you can get security going, hold on, what are you doing? And then as a content creator as well, just from what I've seen in various forums, comment sections and things like that, there's various sort of like misconceptions, I think that's the right word, that sort of like it's latched to retail arbitrage and retail arbitrage only. Like, what's some of the sort of like struggles? What sort of like the common misconceptions and like the sort of things to be mindful of that you've faced like quite commonly, if that makes sense. So anything
Um,
that you've gone like anything that's been a bit of a barrier for you to like get over, or anything that you sort of like see or hear a lot whereby it's like very misunderstood, like it's a misconception or something like that you see, or I don't know, hear a lot. Like, how do you deal with all of that?
I think, like you said about like people giving you funny looks, or whatever. I think you kind of get to realize that, especially where I live in Leeds and I go around like some of the dodgy areas in Leeds doing
Hmm.
this retail arbitrage and walk around with a trolley. There was one time in Wait when we had like 100 things of curry sauce. And you got, I think, with stuff like that, you just got. I think there's a lot more weird stuff going on in those areas. People to take any notice of you, especially in like London or anywhere like that. I think one of the common misconceptions you get in the TikTok comments a lot is people saying like, "Oh, you can't do this. This isn't. This is against the rules of Amazon or what have you. You can't sell it without an invoice." That's a big one. When people talk about ungates.
Hmm.
Um, I won't go too deep into stuff like ungates or what have you, but that's a big misconception people have, is that you need to have an invoice of what the actual specific product that you're buying to sell on Amazon. But it's obviously ungates are linked to the brand, not the product. So that's an easy thing to get around. Um, I think the main sort of critique or maybe moral dilemma, I guess, is when you're going up to like a toy clearance at Christmas time and buying all of the toys on clearance. But I think what people need to bear in mind is that when most of the time when doing retail arbitrage and stuff like that, right, the stuff that we're buying on clearance, there could be 100 items on clearance, and only two or three of them are worth buying to sell on Amazon FBA.
Hmm.
Like it's not like we're going. People like myself are going into shops, clearing the entire shelves of any good deals whatsoever you find in a store. Like the actual things that are worth picking up, in comparison to any other good deals or what have you they'd have on, is very minimal.
Hmm.
Um, but no, I wouldn't say there's any significant struggles I've thought of really. It can just be sometimes a bit disheartening when you have a trip where you spend a day going around or what have you, um, and you don't find anything decent. You feel like you're wasting your time a bit. But I think to kind of combat that, one of the main I always have sort of a good idea of where I'm going to go, what I'm probably going to find before I go out.
Yeah.
Um, so it's quite rare that I'll go out and I won't end up bringing anything back or what have you, or making it worth the time.
Hmm. And obviously, like starting out and stuff, there's regardless of whatever method one chooses to go ahead with, whether it is retail arbitrage or like OA, whatever it is, um, there are going to be days that suck for sourcing.
Yeah, of course.
And so like when you like and so like one of the things to sort of like, if you haven't already, is just to sort of like realize, look, it doesn't mean that I'm failing at Amazon. It doesn't mean that I suck. It just means that it is a bad sourcing day. But there will be, better sourcing days to come, and that's true. And I'm sure you can vouch for that point as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's not just retail arbitrage that happens with anything, of course.
Yeah. And yeah, talking about like things like the funny looks and stuff that you can get. Obviously, you say that there's all manner of things that happens in the wonderful world of leads. So obviously people don't like pay too much attention. But like when you were like just getting started and stuff, and you're buying like a massive quantity of like something that might seemingly be random. Um, like, would you say that you've always been like quite confident and like you don't care that you get those looks, or was it a bit of a like a learning thing for you whereby you develop that thick skin?
Yeah, to be honest with you, mate, I've never really cared that much. To be honest with you, sometimes when you get to the till, when they start asking you questions, it's easier to say something like, "Oh, it's for a work raffle," or when they ask you why are you buying all of these discounted kids' toys, or stuff like that. It's easier to lie to them or something, just to avoid the conversation of, yeah, I'm buying up all these cheap kids' toys so other people can't have them, or tell them it's for charity or something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, there you go. There's I mean, there's a couple of ideas for you if you don't want to tell the truth.
The
Um,
raffle one's the best one because the charity they'll start asking questions.
yeah. So there's a couple of ideas that you can use whilst you're developing that. Um, I know that retail arbitrage sort of like, I don't know, ethos. Just that thick skin that you develop. And yeah, if you don't want to tell people what it is that you're doing, there you go. There's some great ideas for you. Um, what would you recommend to so people getting started again, uh, as like a starting budget? Like, how much would you say one should have as like as a budget that they have to get a good start with retail arbitrage? Like, what should they go out and expect to spend?
So what we're looking at when you're first starting out, you only need like two bits of kit really. You need a seller subscription, that's 25 plus VAT. Obviously, if you're starting out, you won't pay for that. And then BuyBot to just scan stuff. That's
Yeah.
all you really, in my opinion, that's all you really need. Obviously, you'll need like a computer, uh, um, a laptop, or anything like that. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say most people will have one of those at home. If not, you can grab one of them on Facebook Marketplace for like 100 quid or something. A printer, you don't need a fancy level printer or nothing like that. You can literally grab, like I said, and again, you can grab one on Facebook Marketplace for 20 odd quid or what have you. Um, but those are one-off costs. The recurring cost that you've got to cover is obviously the BuyBot subscription, the Amazon seller subscription. So you only need to be making to start off with like £60 profit a month. So all in, I'd probably say you could get away with starting out with around 500 quid.
Hmm.
Um, I think especially with if you're starting out doing retail arbitrage, which is probably what I'd recommend for most people because it's easier. There's a much lower barrier to entry. Um, that sort of gives you enough room to maybe buy a couple of things that don't sell as well as you think, um, and enough so you can make some profit, cover those monthly costs, and start actually reinvesting and piling up money.
Hmm. And
But
so,
you don't you don't have to like if people are starting out, they don't have to start like pour thousands into it just to start out with.
yeah.
Like you can put as much into it as you want, just to sort of get a feel for it.
How much would you say that you got started with?
I mean, I already had a sum of money to invest into it from shoe reselling,
Hmm.
but Christ, I don't know. To be honest with you, I was never really good with my accounts and money management and stuff. I think Christ knows, probably a couple thousand to start with, and
Yeah.
then just over time, just put more money into stock. Whenever you
Hmm.
make a profit, just reinvest it, basically.
Yeah. I think I think for a good solid start, obviously like things like wholesale are completely different, but RAOA, I'd say anything from I like minimum, I'd say anything from I don't know around like 70 to a couple hundred, something like that, just somewhere in
Yeah, if you got
between
if
there,
you got a
like
laptop,
as
a
a
printer, and all
minimum.
that, if you got a laptop printer, if you got all the kit ready to go, and you just want to cover your subscription costs, yeah, you could start with much less than 500. To be honest with you,
Yeah. And then you just build it from there. Obviously, the more that you can put into it, like the more flexibility you'll have with like the amount of things that you can go for, like quantities and so forth. Talking of quantities, actually, I know that there are some stores that are funny about like the amount of one item that you can purchase. Have you found that yourself?
I've never had an issue with that
No.
personally. No,
Okay.
no, it's only them asking questions. Like, oh, what are you doing? I bought like 100 slug killers from Morrison's or something, and she's asking like if I'm a gardener or something. I can't remember if I went along
Massive
with it or
slug
not.
problem. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
I normally just make some dead joke about it, what have you, so they stop asking questions.
Yeah. And obviously a little bit ago you mentioned the BuyBot Go app for scanning the items.
Mm,
Um, I mean, as you say, that is like it is a need for when you are going out and about and doing this stuff. I was
yeah.
talking to someone the other day that said, but before this stuff came along, it was literally a case of they had to go out with like a notepad, like write down what they were interested in, then go back home and then like do their comparisons on their computer when they got back. And this was before any of like this was before BuyBotPro, BuyBot Go came along, and like all these sorts of bits of kit. And so. Yeah, I can't imagine doing anything like that now. But like, what's some of your favorite things about BuyBot Go? Like some of the things that like really makes RA easier for you.
It just it. I mean, like I said, you literally can scan something up, and within like when you've been doing it for a while, within like 5 or 10 seconds, look at it and go, oh yes or oh no. I mean, BuyBot in particular as a scanner app is obviously quite helpful because it links up with the other softwares.
Yeah.
So it links up with Skuy to put the cost of goods in. So that kind of when you're trying to track profits, it kind of automates it for you,
Hmm.
which is nice. Um, but yeah, just it's just simple in it rather than like if say you didn't have the app and you have to scan it up and then you have to go into the Amazon revenue calculator or whatever, and then you have to check the sales rank, and it's just such a long process. It'll save you hours and hours of
Yeah.
time.
Um, and you also said as well about you when it comes to sort of like managing um and sort of like overseeing like your sort of like income, outgoings, things like that. Like obviously, you mentioned Skewify. Has that made it a lot easier for you to sort of like know exactly how much money you're making?
Yeah, so obviously, like I said, I do shoes and I do social media
Yeah.
um, as well as Amazon FBA. So it takes up a lot of time, right? I don't have time to sit there and go through in Amazon, make sure all my shipments are good, see what's happening with all my refunds or whatever, work out how much I'm making from each product. I don't have time for it. So that software in particular kind of simplifies everything for me. I can go on there. There's X problem with this shipment, this reimbursement, blah 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 blah. Just simplifies it all and puts it all in one place for you, which is really nice.
Mhm. Yeah, because I mean, without something like that, when you're trying to work out all this stuff, because obviously everything when you sell it will sell for different prices, there'll be different, you know, as things are finalized, there's different fees and all sorts. So like, just for working out how much you've actually made in one day alone, like if you didn't have a bit of software doing it for you, like I've said this on other videos, like you've basically got spreadsheet world. I don't know about you, but spreadsheets do
Yeah,
my head in. Even if you've got a formula,
mate, I don't have any spreadsheets. So I can't be asked
like
for that.
exactly. It you just have them everywhere. And as I say, even if you have formulas in there to help you out, like again, it's a lot of manual
Yeah,
work. And it's not,
not worth the time.
whilst it's important to know how much you're actually making and you know, assessing which products are doing good, which ones aren't, at the same time, like the wheel turning money making tasks in your business are the things like sourcing, like the actual repricing of your products to, you know, actually potentially make you more money on that listing and so forth. And so, yeah, anyone that is manually inputting their stuff and you're tired of it, check out Skewify. Like it literally, it's a lifesaver, and it
Yeah,
means that you can
don't sit there
testify
and do
to
it for a
all of those
spreadsheet.
spreadsheets. Yeah. So if you like me and spreadsheets, do your head in. Skewify is the way forward.
Yeah.
Um, Cool. So, I think we're at the point in the interview whereby we can bring on that entertainment factor that everyone loves, whereby I basically just ask you and we talk about whatever it is that comes to my head. So, you've mentioned that Leeds is a bit of a weird place. So, with that, are there any sort of like entertaining stories that you could tell about something that maybe has happened to you or something that you've seen or something that you've heard of that's happened in your area?
Leeds is a nice place. I mean, story wise, obviously I've been at uni for the past 3 years, so it'd be
Yeah.
more just going out and getting pissed kind of stories. But um, there are some interesting areas of Leeds. The funny ones are mainly just when you go in there and just watching just copious amounts of people shoplifting in home bargains, B&M, that kind of thing. Um, there's nothing in particular that's particularly a good anecdote pops to my head though.
Yeah. Do you have any, so as you say, like getting drunk and stuff, uni life, all that, like do you have any sort of like funny stories from that? Anything like that, anything that you've done maybe, or like someone else has done, or
Um,
like that?
no, not really. I mean, it's quite no stories in particular, but it's quite a dramatic difference from my first year of uni before I started doing this side hustle stuff, what have you.
Yeah.
In the first year of uni, I mean, I'm sure it's the same for a lot of people. We would literally just go out on the piss like 5 or 6 times a week,
Hmm.
not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
And it'd kind of be like wake up at 3 p.m. We eat, me and my couple of mates would eat, we go to the gym, slam a couple of energy drinks, have a good session, come back, it's like 7, we'd eat again, then you just be getting ready to go out again. And
Yeah.
it was like that for like the whole year. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
But then obviously second year started doing all this like side hustle and making money kind of stuff. Um, so that kind of cut down a bit. But yeah,
Is it sort of like a,
uni is
is it like for you, is it like a bit of like a, yeah, been there, done that, like I've lived that little sort of like phase, and like
yeah,
that's,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Like we still go out and we go out and what have you. Not as much though. But yeah, no, that was a really good year. But I couldn't do that again.
yeah. Do you still go to the gym now?
Yeah, 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 still go gym a lot. Not as much as I used to, but
Do you skip leg day?
of course I don't. I never skip leg day.
Yeah, don't skip leg day.
No,
That's one of the most
there's no
important
excuse to skip
gym
leg day.
lessons. Um, what's some of like your, so when like going to the gym and stuff, like do you have any like particular goals? Like some people do it for like the cardio, some people do it to like literally like, I don't know, build their arms up, whatever it is that they're aiming to do. Like, do you have any sort of like aims, anything that you want to achieve from going to the gym, or is it literally just like
Mm,
fitness to get out? Is that what it is?
If I'm totally honest with you, the fitness side I couldn't really care less about. I mean, I've started running lately, but that's only to
Yeah.
lose weight. Um, I don't know, probably because I'm quite a vain person. So actually, no. Saying that, I think a few years ago, like what I don't know how old I would have been when I was like 16. Like, I was a proper fat kid. Um, And so I was like 16, and then I had like one summer where I don't know what happened, but I just randomly decided to go on this massive health binge grind, what have you. Was
Hmm.
like cycling 20 kilometers a day, started going gym. I must have lost like 4 or 5 stone in a summer or something ridiculous. And then ever since then, I've just been smashing gym. But I think my main goals with gym are just I used to be really big into powerlifting and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but sort of now that I've started becoming more busy, it's became more just maintaining it, going there just for just to keep in good nick, I suppose. I say that, but I've got an eating problem. I eat too much, but
Yeah.
we've started running now to lose a bit of weight.
I mean, when you're working and stuff, like obviously, even if you're doing retail arbitrage, there's a fair bit of sort of like sitting down at your laptop time as well. So like with
Yeah.
that, if you know, it's just something that happens. Like when you sat there doing stuff, you just think, yeah, I could do with a snack. You might not necessarily need it, but it's just like, I know it's like a something to do whilst you're doing your work sort of thing. Do you have any sort of like go-to snacks, anything like that? Anything that you particularly like right now?
Oh, yeah, I went for a phase where I used to I'd tell myself, oh, like I'm being more efficient. Like I'd like rather than cooking or what have you, I'd get a lot of like takeaways and stuff like that. I used to absolutely smash through Greg's. I'd
Yeah.
go, I could go in Greg's and slam through like 12 quid's worth of food, which in Greg's is like that's quite a lot of food.
Hmm.
Probably Greg's. I haven't been there in a while. I'm being good lately.
Yeah. Being good, is that like, so what is it like? Are you dieting right now? Is that what it is?
Trying to, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm going Tenerife in a month and a half, so
I see. So like, okay, walk me through sort of like the sorts of things that you'd make for yourself, like day, like on this diet that you're doing now? So like some of the things that you'd make for yourself, some of the things that you'd drink as well. Like what things are you making sure that you like get in you every day?
My cooking is appalling. So it is quite literally chicken and rice,
Yeah,
chicken wraps. I might have some chicken sausages in the morning
yeah.
with a couple of eggs, um, and whatever my girlfriend cooks me. Also, now I have some mince and rice as well. But yeah, I'm really not very good at cooking. I slam for a lot of Coke Zero as well, which is there's 0 calories, so it helps with the diet. But I know that fucking Eddie Abu wouldn't be too happy about it.
So I mean, it's a bad time to be a chicken around you, basically.
Yeah, it is a very bad time.
Yeah. No, I completely understand you. Like I'm a little bit the same. I mean, it's not so much chicken that I've been going for, but it's more eggs and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's just egg this, egg that, egg this, egg that. Which is really weird because I never used to be like all that into eggs. In fact, like when I was a lot younger, and this is like talking about when I was like literally a kid, like eggs would freak me out. Just like the thought of them, like where they come from, and then just how they are, and then when you cook them, how they then appear. Then like it used to freak me out, but now like obviously there's a massive difference between me now and me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it's eggs all the time. Eggs all the time right now. So yeah. Chickens, if you're watching, coming for you.
Stay far away from me.
Um, cool. So we're coming to the end of this session now. I've really enjoyed it. As I mentioned at the very start, uh I'm a massive fan of Alex's content. And I'm going to link them all in the description as well. But just for anyone watching, where can people find you and catch up with your content?
Mainly Instagram and TikTok. I do short form. So at AJU Sneakers on Instagram or AJU Sneakers 2 on TikTok because I got banned, unfortunately. But I have started dabbling in the YouTube world. I did a an Amazon FBA video for the first time this week. I don't know how it's doing. Actually, I should probably check that.
I
Which
think
I
they're
thought was
pretty
fairly
well. I
interesting.
had a look at them the other day. They're all doing pretty well in terms of like views and such. At
Yeah,
least I think so anyway.
it's doing all right. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good FBA video. So yeah, that's something I'm going to be doing a little bit more in the future. That's just AJ Sneakers too. I think that's it really.
Yeah. So there you have it, TikTok, Instagram, and he's now gotten into YouTube as well, which is great, obviously, for the longer form content. So if you want even more Alex, then head on over to his YouTube channel. As I say, I'm going to link them all in the description below. Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you wanted to say, Alex?
No, not really. I think if you're looking to start Amazon FBA, I think contrary to what a lot of people trying to sell you courses might tell you, which might be a bit controversial to say, I think retail arbitrage is a great way to get started. I think it's a lot easier to get started doing it with Amazon FBA, doing retail arbitrage than it is maybe online arbitrage or a lot of people jump straight into wholesale or private label or stuff where there's a lot of money to play with, and there's a lot of money to lose and a lot more things that you may need to be aware of.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's people that teach these kind of things, but I think there's stuff that you only really tend to sort of learn with experience.
Yeah.
So even if it's just for a couple of months, I think if you're trying to start Amazon FBA, if you want to take it slow, if you're not in any rush to start making thousands or what have you, start doing the retail arbitrage. And if you like it, you can make really decent money with it. And it's
I,
a great, and even if you're not that serious, it's a great side hustle. Just make a
yeah.
few quid on the side.
It, I completely agree with you, and we like a bit of controversial here, so don't worry about that. Yeah, retail arbitrage. I will tell you myself, it is a great way to access the world of Amazon, and you can make a success out of it. It's not just for beginners, it's not just for newbies. I mean, as you can see, Alex is proof that you can make a massive success through retail arbitrage, and even if you move away and you're doing things like OA or wholesale, whatever it is that you end up doing with your Amazon journey, like having those retail arbitrage skills, just the ability to spot stuff, will really help you out. Like you might move away from it, but if you're doing your regular grocery shop and you clock something, go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a wonderful skill to have. Um, but yeah,
And if you're going to start film it and make videos about it as well. Do content about it because
yes, exactly. Um,
that's the way to
and
go.
again, Alex's channel is a great inspiration for things like that. So if you are actually looking to get into the world of like content creation, record your journey, um, you know, I'd heavily recommend Alex's stuff.
Thank
Great
you.
tips there. And yeah, if you're looking for sort of like the format, like good things to do when you are recording this content, like top inspiration right there.
Thank you.
Um, so thank you once again, Alex, for joining me. Really appreciate your
All good.
time. And thank you to everyone that watched. Yeah, so if you have any questions, obviously, please feel free to reach out at any point. Once again, I'm linking all of Alex's stuff in the description below. This will also be available in podcast form as well. So yeah, as are all of the other seller journeys. So if you prefer to listen at any point, if you want to listen to it again, obviously we're here on YouTube, but then they're also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks once again, and I'll catch you all real soon.